all truth is dependent on the infinite context. Therefore, the infinite context is, of course, the presence of God, without which no truth would be possible or knowable. Because divinity expresses itself then as the field called consciousness. Consciousness is the capacity to know, to be aware, to realize. As we get more spiritually evolved, we become more and more aligned with the field. More and more aligned with the field. Right now, let's say, this consciousness is aware of this totality as the totality of this field of the presence of your love. The transformational power of the field of love, then, is the great value of spiritual groups, aligning yourself with those who are dedicated to transcending the content of the field and becoming identified with the source of existence itself, with love as a way of being in the world. And that field then begins to transform how you see things. You see that being judgmental is bad, and you see that that's funny. Well, humor is one of the great liberators. I would say, I never trust anybody who doesn't have a sense of humor. They can be quite dangerous. They're likely paranoid. Because the capacity to jump from the content and include the field is why we laugh. Okay? So, humor is a way of bridging from the bitter content, and suddenly when you put the field around it, now it's a joke. Huh? Interestingly enough, humorists live to be very old, as do musicians and, Jack Benny, Bob Hope. Great musicians and humorists all tend to live extremely long. Why is longevity a concomitant? Great orchestra conductors are still having kids at 92 or something. Yeah, take up music, folks, and keep going till you're 92. Yeah. So in the back of our awareness, then, we realize that under ordinary circumstances, the ego is self-interested. It's interested in serving its own needs, and only when it reaches a certain point is it beginning to be aware of others and serving the needs of others. And then begins the great learning of the 500s, that you find that the more loving you are, the more love you give away, the more you have. Until finally one is constantly surrounded by love. And so love is a gift to the world. The willingness to surrender your own egotism and to serve life. The reverence for life then brings forth eventually the consciousness of the presence of divinity. The sacredness of all of life, the reverence for all of life, then brings forth the awareness of its beauty. So another of the most powerful pathways to God, and one traditionally followed throughout all the ages, is through beauty. First one sees that which is created as beautiful. The great cathedrals, Notre Dame, Chartres, stunning. They calibrate in the 700s. One walks in and all of a sudden you're struck with awe, the sheer magnificence, and you can see the thousands of lifetimes, hours of lifetimes spent in devotion to God and worship, expressing itself as this exquisite beauty. The extreme beauty of music. A person who is on the spiritual pathway, for instance, will usually discover that certain passages of classical music will make you start to cry. You suddenly burst into tears. the beauty so instantly. It takes you out of the ego and it takes you to the field. The presence of God as the very essence of beauty, the essence of holiness. And one sees that one of the fastest ways to God is, first of all, transcend the belief in causality and begin to witness the beauty of all that exists. As you witness the beauty of all exists, all that exists, it reveals that its essence is divinity, and suddenly you see this tree that's all gnarled over like this is like an exquisite piece of sculpture. You used to want to cut it down, take that old tree down, and now you want to put it on a stand over the mantelpiece. I mean, it's shaped like that is incredible. And you begin to see the magnificence of the beauty of existence in all of nature.